I.S.U.P.K. 53rd Annual Lord's Passover.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. This is the I.S.U.P.K. down in Florida. I'm Captain of 10,000 Shamoy Yalo. We here to let you know the 53rd Annual Lord's Passover is going to be held down here in Florida. It's going down in South Florida, Cocoa Beach.
Friday, April 15th, 2022.
The lamb, the wine, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, you understand? Good music, good weather, the palm trees, the whole nine.
This is going to be glorious. Book your hotels now at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, 301 Tucker Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, 32926.
April 15th and the 16th. Don't just book for the 15th. Book for the 15th and the 16th.
It's going down Friday, April 15th at the Space Coast Convention Center.
Moses told Pharaoh we need 3 days to be able to go out into the wilderness and serve our power the way he commands. You're going to have to get that off with your boss, with your slave master. So make sure you in the building. Cocoa Beach, Florida, April 15th to 16th, 2022 is going down. We'll see y'all there. Shalom.
Black power, 144,000. I'm just trying to make 144,000.
All right.
144,000. I'm just trying to make 144,000. It's not about the money, it's the principle. Gotta watch who you revere, who you listen to. I speak the Eastern soul, my flow medicinal. And I buried the old man, now I'm invincible. Gotta be wise in judgment, it's critical. Either couple with this brotherhood or you'll get ridiculed. The greatest man, the greatest servant, I kill for who I minister to. And I'm going war, nigga, win or lose. Hey, I was forged from the fire, torn from the liar. If hand join in hand, you get caught up in the crossfire. Become a casualty of chance. I'm in my stance, still in hand, ready to swing it like a lance. If the enemy advance, I'ma enhance. Had the benefit of the doubt, he never had a chance. Hey, this the shit that they beg for, that burn down the wicked Judge Dredd flow. Bitch, I am the law. Y'all faced it, prepared for war.
I'm gon' war till the day I'm done. Number one till the day I'm done. I'ma grind till the day is done. I'ma war till the day I'm done. They can't stop me. Nothing new up under the sun. I'm gon' war till the day I'm done. Number one till the day I'm done. I'ma grind till the day is done. I'ma war till the day I'm done. They can't stop me. Nothing new up under the sun.
I see what they say. Never envy a carnal man. Claim they real, they actions don't match what they saying. I got the upper hand, what you don't understand, youngin'. I'd rather bleed than concede, now they're saying something. These niggas cunning, they want my power, they never take it from me. Hey, for that money, I heard you insisted. They can't go out like that, they'll have to 86 me.
Shalom. Yahweh Shemi Al-Shah Barakatah. Clap it up. Yahweh Shema Al-Thumba Shemi Al-Shah. This is I.S.U.P.K. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Command General Yohana. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible, that blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the real Israelites that the Bible is talking about. And this book is real. And you're seeing the effects of this book being shown to be true throughout the world right now. You're seeing these prophecies unfold, everything around us that the brothers in the I.S.U.P.K. have been bringing out since the 60s, since the 70s. Are starting to really take its shape right now in a very real way. It's affecting how much money you have to spend at the pump. It's affecting how much a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk is costing in your grocery stores right now. This book is so real that the whole entire world is feeling it. Now, again, this is the I.S.U.P.K. Of course, today's Tuesday class, the Brotherhood class. Today's class is called Prophecy of War and what in these times we ought to do. men of Israel, women of Israel? What is it that what is our job during this time as time to the end times gets closer and closer? It's safe to say it's already here, but what is our role in these days? What is it that we're supposed to do? Which measures should we be taking to make sure that we are safe in these times and to make sure that we earn the favor of the Most High so that He takes care of us in these last days? Understand that these prophecies are unfolding because the time of Christ is very near, is drawing nigh in front of our very eyes as we speak. Because Christ spoke of wars and rumors of wars, and Christ spoke of earthquakes in diverse places and famines and pestilences. And these are the things that we've been dealing with over the past few years. In fact, the Russian war has been a rumor since the end of the Cold War, since Vladimir Putin took office in the early 2000s, or maybe even in the late 90s when he was already part of their government body, that they were already setting things in motion for their return back to power and their return back to strength so that they can again challenge the NATO countries, including and especially the American military, which is knocking on the doorsteps of the Russian Federation, Slovakia. It is called the Russian Federation, isn't it, Alwan? The Russian Federation over there in Latvia, over in Poland, over near Georgia. You know what I'm saying? The USSR is on its rise again, and for years the United States has been poking the bear, and now the bear that's been poked he's ready to poke back. And right now he's doing more than poking back. He's taking ground right now in the Ukraine, and we got to continue to cover this because it goes exactly with what the Bible has been saying this whole entire time. From the New Testament to the Old Testament, the entire Bible is important, which is why I carry the Bible, the King James Version that has the Apocrypha in it. If you're able to find a Bible like that, like the 1611 King James Bible or the Oxford edition that has the new transliteration, which is basically the exact same English words, but in the modern spelling, then that's going to be a powerhouse of scriptures for you. Of course, you can also cop for very cheap the King James Apocrypha separately to complete your King James Bible. I recommend that for every student in the school, and it's imperative to have those things available and not just depend on technology like Google and your cell phones and stuff, because what happens when those things don't work anymore? What happens when the EMP hits and your cell phone gets fried and you can't go to Google no more to search that scripture that you had in your mind? Right now is the time for you to be taking notes. Right now, take that hard copy Bible, get a highlighter, and make sure to highlight these scriptures that we go over, because it's imperative to not only have them as a reference, but also to keep them embedded in your minds and comfort you in these times as things get weirder and crazier and more perilous, as we've been mentioning over the previous classes since this invasion. I believe today marks the end of the second week of Russia's invasion and occupation of the Ukraine country. And in fact, right now they're supposedly building up to their full-on assault on the capital of Ukraine over in Kiev. And that right there is a dagger to the Ukrainian military. You got all kinds of misinformation being spread from both sides, most likely. Exaggerations on the death toll numbers of their enemies. Exaggerations on the number of tanks they've destroyed or fighter ships that they've destroyed. And what is real, what is true. What we know is true is the scriptures. So if we're sticking with what the scripture's saying, then no matter what you see on the news, you'll have a good idea as to which perspective to take, because no longer is it about the news putting out the truth. The news just wants to put out what goes with their narrative, and we cannot be bamboozled by that. So when you're watching TV and you see them saying pray for Ukraine all over the news, does the Bible agree with that? Does the Bible say that there's going to be peace and safety? Or does the Bible say that there's going to be warfare on the horizon? In the preparation for the return of our King I.S.U.P.K, Mashiach, who we know is a black man, from the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel chapter 10, where it breaks down these prophecies. So let's get into the Bible and start looking and seeing the truth in a more clear way. Because when we look at the world through a biblical lens, that's when we're going to have the clarity necessary to order our mind correct and to keep ourselves in line. because in these last days, everybody out here is being lovers of themselves. A lot of people out here are being selfish for the ambitions that they have in their life, and little do they know their lives are getting ready to change forever, and the world is not going to be the same anymore. It's going to be a dangerous place. It's going to be an expensive place to live in. And going back to the Stone Age, dang near, is what we're going to see out here in this world, in this wilderness, as the world's war starts to take shape. And you're starting to see these gas prices hit $10 a gallon, $200 a barrel. You understand? That's going to affect your airline tickets. That's going to affect the wheat that you buy from the bread at the store. It's going to affect all of your supplies that you use, from toilet paper to food that you use to cook, scratch in the kitchen. Everything's getting ready to go up. And Most High in Christ, because we've been praying for these prophecies to take fold, because we know what happens next. But the world, they're going to start to lose hope. And we are going to begin to prophesy the truth so that you can understand the time that we're in. So big up to those in the chat. Big up to Jason out there in Odessa. I see you, soldier. Appreciate you coming in and locking in. Darius and Roland and everybody coming in. Sister Maria, I want to make sure that we get everybody's attendance. So yes, definitely go ahead and mark you down as, that you're in the class. And like I said, get ready to take some notes. Get ready to highlight these scriptures, because today is going to be a heavy class for y'all. And I want y'all to visually see the world through a biblical lens. I understand. So let's get the book of Joel. We're going to start off in the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 28. I'm going to get it on the board here. You understand? Give me 1 second. Let me get that on the board for y'all, brothers and sisters. You understand? Let's see here. Wait, no. Shit. Make sure I got that on here. Boom. Here we go. So the book of Joel. Let me get that. Go ahead and switch over to it. Joel chapter 2 verse 28, and it reads, "And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions." In these last days, the Most High is going to start showing the truth. He's going to start putting visions out there for people to see. People are going to be having nightmares of the apocalypse. People are going to be having visions of the apocalypse. Not that it's some divine thing and that everybody should follow you, but these are signs that the Most High's spirit is starting to be pouring on all flesh. And as you can see on the screen here, that we're reading the 1611 King James Bible, so no need to trip. This is basically just the old English way of reading the scriptures. That's all it is. So it's nothing to worry about. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so y'all can get this here. You understand? It says, "And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions." And I tell you one thing that's for dang sure, when it comes to prophesying, these brothers in the I.S.U.P.K are out there prophesying every single week, be it in Texas or Oklahoma or California or in London. Shout out to the brothers out there in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, New York, Philadelphia. I can keep going. Basically, all the I.S.U.P.K schools, we got sons that are out there prophesying on the streets. We have daughters that are changing their lives because of what they're learning from these righteous sons in the I.S.U.P.K. Old men dreaming dreams, young men seeing visions. Visions of what? Visions of war, visions of peace. What kind of visions are they seeing? We're going to start to see these things in these days. Well, let's read on. Verse 29, "And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids, in those days I will pour out my spirit, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke." Well, what are we seeing in the earth right now? We're seeing blood. We're seeing fires. We're seeing pillars of smoke. And who's to say, yeah, you know what? This has been going on for a long time. But when you paying attention to the classes that we've been teaching over the past couple of weeks, we talked about Revelation chapter 9 and how that correlated to the woes of the world wars. And we talked about World War I, which took place over 100 years ago. We're coming on to the 105th anniversary of World War I, when Archduke Franz Ferdinand got assassinated. And we talked about how that was in the scriptures. So I don't want to hear anybody put any doubt that we've been in the last days, because we are in a certain stage of those days. And how much more important is it now for us to have the urgency to stay locked into the truth, to lock into our real culture, to tune into the real truth of the Bible so that it keeps our minds right. And in doing so, you're going to see that the scriptures that we pull during our classes are meant to show you the truth, not to scare you, not to try to scare you away, or try to sound any kind of certain type of way. What's up? Yeah, go ahead and see you with that, Salakia, sir. Go for it. And the thing that you got to keep in mind when you're studying the scriptures is that that's what it's for. It's for you to gain edification and for you to change your life. It's not meant to put fear into your heart. It will, however, put fear into the hearts of those that have treated the sons and daughters of Israel wrong all these years. You understand? We've been in captivity under every nation on the earth. And it just so happens that all those nations are starting to clamor and click and gain their, spend their their GDP on war now. They're having to beat their plowshares into swords. You understand what I'm saying? You just had countries across in Europe, all of them just now admitted to adding more percentage of their gross domestic product to be financing their war machines. I'm talking about every country, pretty much any country in the NATO regime or in any country that's even remotely to deal with the Middle East and Europe in general, which we know in the scriptures as the bottomless pit, because this is where war has been going on for a long time. And it's starting to get to the finale. You understand? A lot of us brothers and sisters, we get excited for things that we see in the world that have to do with the sequels of a movie. You know what I'm saying? A sequel to a movie. Imagine a movie like, just give me an example. Transformers 1, 2, and 3. Well, the first one was cool. The second one was built up, and then the third one, things got pretty crazy, right? Well, same thing is happening on Earth. The narrative the Most High is working with these prophecies here on Earth is that we're seeing a crescendo of events. It's leading to a climax. Salakia, sir, the camera turned a little bit. Let me make sure I got that on point.
Is it back good?
Yeah, turn it just a little bit because it's a little bit other way. Salakia, y'all. All right, we good. You can leave it right there. That's fine. All right. So again, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. So what are we talking about here, y'all? What is it that we're seeing in the world today that looks just like this? Now, of course, you think about what's going on in Ukraine, war and pillars of smoke and fire and all this stuff. But to be honest, things have been getting that way. Remember 2001 when the Twin Towers got hit? Remember how America went to war back then? That was a step in the direction of the fulfillment of these prophecies. And we're seeing take a major leap. You understand? A major leap towards warfare. Matter of fact, I got a special clip for y'all, brothers and sisters. I'm going to show y'all. Let me see if I can find it right here. So, okay, give me 1 second.
Personal attendance.
All right, here you go. This was on, what was it? It was on Vesti. So what I like about this technology, while we still have it at our disposal, we can use this to show you what's going on. Now, you think that this whole thing with the Ukraine hasn't been building up for years? I'm about to show you what's been going on. This right here is Russian TV that you won't get to watch because America wants to keep everybody from watching what they've been talking about. This right here is a talk show in Russia where you got Russia's biggest pundits and people that back Putin and people that support the Russian communist agenda talking and screaming at each other about what needs to be done in the countries around them. And particularly, this one is talking about Ukraine. So this man right here, Kedmi, he was, I believe, he was an intelligence officer of the Israeli army. or Air Force or one of their special ops agents grew up and did his time with that army. And now here he is speaking on behalf of course, Russia and how everything in the Middle East ties to what's going on. And listen good, because what he says is real heavy. Oh, by the way, before we get into this is from 2019. All right. Take a look at what's been happening in Ukraine.
Можно предъявить любые претензии или оценивать так или иначе, как действовали на Украине 50 лет назад, 100 лет назад, 30 лет назад. Все, что прошло на Украине происходило все то, что позволяла Россия. Конечно. Вот как Россия позволяла, так и было. Так что первые и основные претензии Россия должна предъявлять сама к себе. С момента распуска их сил. Конечно, то, что сегодня происходит на Украине, это то, что Россия допускает. Осмысленно, неосмысленно. Понимая, не понимая, по халатности, или по недоразумению, или потому что такую стратегию выбрали. Не знаю.
I'll stop it if we need to discuss anything that's mentioned. Well, okay, ooh. Now they're talking about what's going to happen to the Ukraine in the future. You following along? Everybody say Khan in the chat if you're following along to what's being said. Again, these are pundits. This is their Russia's way of expressing their think tank. They do it out in the open because, again, it's a communist country. They control the media. They control the narrative. And so what you see happening right here is seeds being planted in the minds of the Russian people to where you might have a situation happen in the future. Remember, this is in 2019 where they're talking about this. And listen to what he says, because, again, we're going to see if this actually came to pass for what they were talking about here.
Он правильно сказал. Не может на Украине ничего произойти без согласования с Россией. Он деликатно выразился, все-таки политик. Поэтому, что бы ни произошло на Украине, претензии к самим себе. Украина, там свои политики будут играть. А все, что, к сожалению, независимо от того, насколько верны цифры, которые Слава сказал по поводу Донбасса, это позор для России. Был такой писатель, очень известный, Сент-Экзюпери. И он сказал гениальную фразу: мы в ответе за тех, кого мы приручили. Россия взяла на себя ответственность за жизнь нормальную жителей Донбасса. Она не освободила тем самым Украину в ответственность. И можно вести любые переговоры и говорить сколько угодно. Кто виноват, как виноват. Вот в этих двух теориях, которые Слава сказал, два российских чиновника, они что обсуждали? Они одну вещь не обсуждали. А люди в Донбассе, их интересует.
For those of you just tuning in, when he's talking about Donbass, which is the eastern part of the Ukraine, Russia 2 weeks ago announced that 2 provinces in that area, in that region, they announced to the world that those 2 provinces of the people that he's talking about he claimed them to be independent states, meaning separate from Ukraine. Of course, that goes against nationally known and recognized borders, which, of course, it was a huge clash because there's a disagreement with borders, and Russia just fabricated this, but it's partially because of things like this that are being said, that they feel responsible at taking care of these people who were once a part of the USSR. So for people that are just tuning in and wanting to get an understanding of the situation over in Russia, you ought to pay attention in some cases to the things that they are saying. And then we're going to go into the scriptures and we're going to talk about the prophecies that discuss these things and prove that these things are biblical, and that every step towards that big escalation leading up to World War III and the fact that we're right in the middle of it, we're going to see it all come full circle in this discussion. So let's continue here. Salakia, for those that just tuning in, all you got to know is that we listening to some Russians talking about what they were saying back in 2019, which was 3 years ago now. So 3 years ago, they were talking about this very same situation that's happening in Russia.
Как они живут? Живут ли они вообще? Вот за это Россия должна предъявить к себе претензии к своей совести.
Ну, кстати, Россия эти вопросы себе задает. Именно поэтому, как вы говорите, что гуманитарность, несмотря на эти возражения Запада.
So Russia, they've been taking humanitarian aid and effort over to Donbass, which is the east coast of Ukraine, and of course NATO and the West, meaning the United States, Britain, France, a lot of countries that are conglomerate with NATO and America, they despise them for doing that. So.
Все время каждый раз бился в истерике, когда очередной гуманитарный конвой шел на Донбасс. И Россия, кстати, сейчас паспорта выдает. И несмотря на первоначальные моменты, когда надо было все наладить, сейчас обороты нарастают. И если сравнить с тем, сколько выдано сейчас России паспортов и программа, которую объявил Зеленский, то там разница колоссальная. И я думаю, что Россия скоро выйдет на там, больше, чем 1000 паспортов в день. То есть там выделяются дополнительные люди.
So they're taking care of you, those people on the east side, right? That's what's going on.
Еще более правильно. И действительно, в отличие от Украины, которая все время говорит о территории, а не о людях, мы должны говорить и заботиться о людях. Я здесь абсолютно согласен. Я, кстати говоря, в этом 14-го года, с первого дня.
Я с детства помню, как меня учили, как развился Советский Союз по сравнению с 13 годом. Населению Советского Союза это не особенно помогало. Это сравнение. Так что сравнение, что произошло, что было раньше, или что делает, не делает Украина, это не важно. Важно то, что жители Донбасса должны были сейчас быть намного в лучшем положении, как люди.
Let me know if there's an echo in the audio. No, we're good.
С каким? По сравнению с убитыми в Доме профсоюзов, у них бесспорно гораздо более счастливая судьба.
Let's get to the point. Come on. I want y'all to see this part coming up here. It makes a really crazy point here at the end.
Вот недавно президент России провел совещание с руководителями угольной промышленности России. Может, надо подумать также об угольной промышленности Донбасса и помочь. Что если Россия может продавать уголь на весь мир и хочет продавать, может им помочь. То, что будет на Украине, прямо Россия за это не отвечает. Косвенно это результат его политики. А вот чтобы на Донбассе жили как люди, в том числе и на угольной промышленности, вот за это Россия отвечает.
Можно по логике уже надо Донбасс, чтобы был, включая Киев и это Приднестровье. Потому что если уж тогда брать, тогда надо русских людей возвращать на родину.
Listen to what he just said. You see that? I gotta rewind that because that was just heavy what he just said. So, and mind you, this is one of Putin's well-known, most respected pundits in Russia that's saying this right here. Listen to what he said. Russia is responsible for the livelihood of the people of Donbass, which is eastern Ukraine. He says that if they move in and take care of them, they're not going to stop there. Watch this. Russia is responsible for providing a decent life for the people of Donbass, including fixing their coal industry. See this? Kiev and extended Transnistria, whatever that is, I can't pronounce it.
Потому что если уж тогда брать, тогда надо всех русских людей возвращать на родину.
So he see that and he says, but that's a world war. Now you look at what's going on to this right now. That's exactly what Russia is doing. Is that they pushed beyond Donbass and they've pushed all the way to Kiev, which is the final stand, the last stand of the Ukrainian government. With their Ukrainian leader Zelensky, I believe is his name, and Zelensky, and of course everybody in the city is hunkered down, ready for that battle to take place, where you have all kinds of weapons of warfare being sent in that direction. You have thermobaric missile launcher tanks. You got regular tanks. You have thousands of soldiers, by the tens of thousands of soldiers moving towards that direction. They've handled business in other parts of Ukraine, but they are all trying to converge at some point on that capital. And he just mentioned that in 2019. And he said that if they do that, that's a world war. And the crowd is clapping for it. because they definitely want to avoid that, but they also feel compelled to take care of their own people.
Вся Украина или часть Украины, как Донбасс, географически, это другой вопрос. Но они живут там сегодня, они 5 лет там живут. Им завтра надо жить. И нельзя сказать, это нечестно сказать им, вот когда решится вся проблема Украины, тогда...
Во-первых, мне не говори, это была не ситуация с Крымом. Здесь надо очень четко смотреть. Ситуация изначально была разная. И именно поэтому такое количество жителей Донбасса сейчас в России и работают, и им помогают. Но надо отметить, что любое движение в этом направлении стороны России по отношению к Донбассу вызывает тут же бешеную истерику международную. Следующий пакет санкций. Для этой цели,
Look, they're talking about sanctions now.
Экономика в России, которая способна быть готовым к ведению.
Good night. So in 2019, they were talking on live TV about preparing for the sanctions that were going to hit Russia when they eventually went to go help the people in Donbass and Ukraine, those of the Russian descent, those people that felt that they belong to Russia, and they even consider it their motherland. That's what they're quoting. And so what they're saying is, he's saying Russia needs to prepare to handle advanced level sanctions. So Russia's known about this, and they've put it out there on their media for people to be prepared for terms like sanctions and things like that. Y'all seeing how this is building up? This has been in development for years now. This is not something that just happened out of nowhere. What you got for me, sir?
Honestly, this has been going on since the Cold War, since the 80s. In the 80s, when Russia went through its hard times, they put sanctions on them then.
That's right.
Right, just like they put sanctions, just like you try to put embargo on what's it called, on Cuba. That's why Cuba still got cars from the 50s and
right,
the 40s.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because they try to cut off their trade route. Like, you can't trade with this country, you can't trade with that country. America, the devil that the Bible speaks about.
Yep. And so what they know about, if there's one thing that we know about this kingdom and the way that they operate, they like to hurt each other's pockets. That's how they start warfare. But if their pockets get hurt too much, then guns are going to start being brought into play. Let's see what the rest of this says. Politics requires tangible measures. Oh, see that? So that right there, building the sentiment. Donbass is not an economic issue, but a political and humanitarian one. So that's the way that they went about it. And of course, going over these things, what we got to understand is, of course, in the I.S.U.P.K, we don't take sides with whatever media is being said. We just look at the perspective and we line the Bible up with what's going on. And that's exactly what we're here to do today. So you know that's what I'm going to do for y'all next once we're done with this clip.
Да, но политики поэтому и решили. Именно поэтому дипломы Донбасса работают в России. Именно поэтому дети Донбасса учатся и, когда необходимо, получают медицину в России. Но чтобы экономически интегрировать, это уже вопрос экономистов.
We're good on that. All right, so a reason why I bring that up is because what is led to is this. It's led to these things. All right, I'm going to drop Joel. We need Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. And right now I'm using the 1611 King James Bible. So if you're seeing that the English is a little bit weird, that's just because it's without the transliteration. It's the same exact words, though. They're just spelled different. That's all it is. So Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. Sluggy, so can you get that for me?
I'm on it. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8.
Go ahead. And again, what I wanted to do is that basically what we're doing is we're putting together a compilation of both media and news articles and things that are happening right now today, relevant information, relevant visuals, relevant atrocities and what do you call it? Morbid, scenery and things like that, because we need to have our mind ready to accept that reality here. We don't see buildings being blown up here. We don't see death and destruction from world warfare on us. We do, however, deal with death and destruction from the police every single day. We do deal with oppression from having to go to work and being broke and poor all the time. But guess what, black man, Hispanic man, our time of trouble is coming to an end, because as we start to see these prophecies really start to unfold and take form, we're going to have some relief from the Most High, because the Most High says that there will be relief. So we need to stay locked into these scriptures so that we can prepare for those days where we get to take part in that phase shift that it spoke about. Okay, so Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. You got that one, sir?
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 8.
Go ahead.
Therefore, wait ye upon me.
Therefore, what?
Wait ye upon me.
No, give up in faith because Christ ain't came back yet.
Wait ye upon me.
No, go back to partying and doing drugs and doing whatever you want because you just want to enjoy every single day like as if it's last. Like you want to live YOLO. What does it say?
Wait ye upon me.
Read on.
Saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
Until the day that I raise up to the prey.
To the day that I raise up to the prey. Read.
For my determination is to gather the nations.
Salakia, stop right. He says, my determination is to gather the nations. What's going on right now? We're seeing nations being gathered in a way where there's a lot of hostility. We're seeing them gathering in a way that's preparing for the Most High to make them his prey. The Most High's determination is that war takes place on the earth. So when you're saying praying for Ukraine and you're saying there needs to be peace and there needs to be love and everybody needs to hold hands around the whole earth, you're going against the Most High's determination. His word is true. And our vain emotions and thoughts mean nothing when these prophecies need to be fulfilled. And it's the time for them to be fulfilled. So you're living in these times. You're living in extraordinary times right now, Israel, out there that are in the chat right now. You got to understand what time we're in. Read that again from the top. Salakia.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 8.
Go ahead.
Therefore, wait ye upon me,
saith
the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey.
The day that I rise up to the prey. Read on.
For my determination is to gather the nations.
Read.
That I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them my indignation.
What is the Most High gathering those kingdoms for? Read that again.
To pour upon them mine indignation.
Ooh, sounds like he's hunting his prey when his determination was to gather them, to hunt them. That's what's happening right now. And this is how we know that it's talking about right now. Read on.
Even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy.
Go ahead and jump down to verse 13.
Verse 13.
Go ahead.
The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity.
The remnant of Israel. Those of us that are alive right now. Those of us from the 12 lost tribes of Israel, from Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, Issachar. I don't know if I forgot any of them. But those blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians from those 12 tribes of Israel should not do iniquity. It's not your time to sin. If you want to take part in the safety, if you want to take part in the comfort, okay, then you are not to sin in these days, because the Most High is doing something terrible on this earth, meaning he's gathering these nations together to destroy them and to hunt them. And our job during that time is to not do iniquity. Read. The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity. Go ahead.
Nor speak lies.
Nor speak what?
Nor speak lies.
No, but bunnies lay eggs.
Nor speak lies.
No, but ham is the other white meat.
Nor speak lies.
No, you only live once, so you should go ahead and do whatever you want.
Nor speak lies.
You see what I'm saying? Don't speak no lies. Read.
Neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth.
So under the authority of the I.S.U.P.K, under the authority of Commanding General Yohana, who is ordained on this earth to be leaders for our people, that we would lead our people into a phase where we are not speaking lies, so we are not sinning, so we are not being deceitful, we're not lying to each other, We're not treating each other treacherously. Let the nations argue with their petty strives back and forth while we build something greater than what they've ever managed to accomplish in the years that they've been in rulership over us. Read on. It says, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. Go ahead.
For they shall feed.
For they shall what?
They shall feed.
And then what? Go ahead.
And lie down.
And read on.
And none shall make them afraid.
It says, for they shall feed and lie down. Meaning, we're going to eat good. We're going to have the best sleep of our lives. And we ain't going to be afraid of the Ukraine being invaded. We ain't going to be afraid of fighter jets going against each other in the airs and bombs being dropped and seeing all the footage on CNN and Fox News and MSNBC and ABC. Everybody's talking about it. And everybody's dramatizing it, and everybody has their opinion about it. But the truth is, the Most High is gathering these nations together so that he could destroy them, man. That's the scriptures talking right there. That's World War III prophecy. We've been going over Revelation. We've been going over all these precepts because we want y'all to understand that it is the Most High's will that these things happen. That's not our will. You understand? But we do want Christ to return, and we got to understand that these things need to take place before his return because the scripture had said. That's why the Most High said, what did he say? He said, for I have said, what was it? He said in verse, it said, therefore wait ye upon me, said the Lord. He says, be patient during these times. Now is not the time for you to be antsy and thinking that that this is going to be just there's some sort of easy way out. Endure to the end, black man. Endure to the end, Hispanic man. That means you sisters out there that are in a relationship, that you tired of that dude and you want to leave him. Instead of doing that, stay with that man because he might come in handy in the time of trouble. He might be what you need in the time where you need a strong man to be around. You understand? This is the time where we go, like the script, like what was it the president said a long time ago? He said, these are the times to try men's souls. They said that during one of the first woes of the world. I think it was World War I or World War II. You understand? These are the times where things are getting drastic. So we ought to stay with these scriptures. Was there any more on that? Go ahead and read. What was you at? 13? Go ahead. Keep reading.
Verse 14.
Go ahead.
Sing, O daughter of Zion.
Read on.
Shout, O Israel.
Read that again.
Sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel.
Go ahead.
Be glad and rejoice with all the heart.
So when the Most High is gathering the nations together to destroy them, when you're seeing the death and destruction of these other nations, these people that have took advantage of us, that took our land from us, that took our homeland from us, are you going to forget that too? Their children, their seed are the ones that we are not to be. We actually should be rejoicing over these things. You should be making music about these things. Brothers in the truth, they're making songs all about warfare and the glory of the Most High. And you see that. Big ups to the Lost Tribes, record label, and of course Captain Katazai putting that together. Make sure you subscribe to Lost Tribes on Patreon if you haven't already, because they're actually following the scriptures when they're singing. You know what I'm saying? When they're shouting and being glad and rejoicing, because the time that we live in right now is the Most High's prophecies being fulfilled. You understand what I'm saying? So the Most High says right here, be glad and rejoice with all your heart. You understand what I'm saying? Read verse 15. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Verse 15. The Lord hath taken away thy judgments.
Well, he did what?
The Lord hath taken away thy judgment.
Read on.
He hath cast out thine enemy.
Go ahead.
The King of Israel, even the Lord, is in the midst of thee.
Now you got to understand very carefully what's being said here. Those of you that are in the truth, those of you that are in the truth, that are rehearsing the righteous acts of the Lord, that are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and keeping yourselves away from iniquity, the Most High is taking away the judgments and punishments of the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28. He's taken away the judgments and curses that have been plaguing our people for generations, from the ignorance that we've had, to the fact that we dying in the streets, to the fact that we're dealing with all types of heart issues and health issues from living wrongly. You understand what I'm saying? The Most High is saying that he's taking away our judgments, and we ought to be rejoicing in these things. You understand? This is why the Most High said for us to sing, O daughter of Zion, to shout, O Israel. Go ahead and flex your mind, Israel, because now's the time for you to rejoice that the Most High is getting ready to stop our punishment. But that also means that his punishment is now being turned towards the nations that have destroyed us. You understand that? Read on.
Thou shalt not see evil anymore.
Thou shalt not see what anymore?
Evil anymore.
Brothers killing each other on the streets.
Evil anymore.
Brothers being put in funerals at an early age before the age of 25.
Thou shalt not see evil anymore.
Read.
Verse 16. In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear thou not.
Fear what?
Fear thou not.
Don't be afraid. Be of good courage in these days, like our camp leader said yesterday in class. Be of good courage. Bring out, he brought out the scriptures talking about to stay strong in these days, to not be afraid of the things that are happening. So in that day, it shall be said to Jerusalem, like I'm telling you right now to the children of Israel, fear thou not. That's our message to you, because the Most High ordained it. Read on.
And to Zion,
go ahead.
Let not thine hand be slack.
Let what?
Let not thine hands be slack.
So don't be sitting on your bed all day, scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through Instagram, not doing nothing. You should be helping your Israelite school. You should be taking part in the classes, help sweep the floors, help get ready for camp, cooking and cleaning and doing everything that it needs for us to help us get this message out there so that other Israelites will no longer have to be afraid, because they'll be learning the truth as well. Like the brothers always say, each one teach one, right? Well, we all need to do our part to make sure that we're putting in the work to earn the Most High's return to us, to earn Christ's return to us. You understand? And we're on the cusp of it right now. So let not thine hands be slack. Make sure you're putting your hand to the plow and doing your part to make your election sure. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the Most High is saying. Our enemy's punishment is coming, and it's here, and we're seeing them destroying each other. But our punishment is going away, and we are going through a different phase now in our experience here on earth. And right now, you have the opportunity to take part in the positive experience of the earth, in the experience where you don't no longer have to weep and cry about our lives being like hell every day on this earth. Instead, our enemies are going to be dealing with those things because the Most High is just, and they have deserved the punishment that's coming to them. You understand? Go ahead and drop that. Go ahead and drop that out of one. We're going to go to the Apocrypha now. We need to get 2nd Esdras chapter 15. Okay? 2nd Esdras chapter 15 is a very heavy book in the Bible. This is a very prophetic book that talks about the things that are going on right now, especially with what's going on in the Ukraine. Now, we've been talking about the fact that this has been a buildup for quite some time, and now we're starting to really see it take shape. 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and start at verse 14. Go ahead.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 15 verse 14.
Read.
Woe to the world.
What?
Woe to the world.
No, God loved the whole world.
Woe to the world.
Now everybody needs to hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
Woe to the world.
Now pray for Ukraine. Pray for peace. Pray for niceness and everyone to love each other so we can go back to killing blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians while pretending that we're cool. What does it say?
Woe to the world.
And read on.
And them that dwell therein.
Now we know what world this is talking about. This is talking about the world that's ran by Esau. Remember, the scripture says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob the one that followeth. So the world that we're talking about right now is the one that the Most High wants to bring woe to. Okay? Read on.
Verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh.
Read that again.
For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh.
And we're starting to see more and more of that. Read on.
And one people shall stand up and fight against another.
Read on.
And swords in their hand.
Dang, so you're talking about USA versus the Iraqis, USA versus the Taliban in Afghanistan, and yada yada, right? You're talking about Russia and Ukraine. You're talking about the potential war between China and Taiwan. I mean, I can keep going. There's a lot of people standing up to fight against each other right now with swords in their hands. You understand what I'm saying? Weapons of war in their hands. And we're going to get into the specifics because the Bible is more exact than you think. People say, oh, you're talking about swords. Well, they don't have no swords in their hand. Don't worry, I got you. Keep reading. Verse 16.
Verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men.
There shall be what?
Sedition among men.
What's sedition mean? You know what that means? Go ahead and get the definition to sedition. Because we definitely want to understand the scriptures and the words that it's saying. So it's important, brothers in the school, we always try to get the definitions of words that we come across so that we can get a good understanding of what the sentence is trying to construct here. What kind of thought it's trying to put in your mind right here. It says that, of course, there's going to be destruction drawing nigh. It's going to be woe to the world, not joy to the world like you hear every day in Christmas with those songs that don't stop playing on the radio that drive you halfway crazy. There's going to be a time where them songs are going to be extinct. There's going to be a time where 70s and 80s music is going to be extinct. Slacky, I had to say it. I think I've heard enough 80s music for one lifetime. I'm just saying. But anyway, there's going to be sedition among men. The word sedition means what?
Sedition. Conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority or of a state or monarch.
Good night. Say that again. What did that say?
It says conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or a monarch.
Good night. Now, I got a news article for you. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Pretty sure I have the article saved. I believe it was right. So like, y'all, I want y'all to understand that this exact scripture is happening right now. Read that one more time. I'm gonna get the article for these brothers and sisters.
Start at 14?
Yeah, go ahead.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 14.
Go ahead.
Woe to the world and them that dwell therein.
Read on.
For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh.
Go ahead.
And one people shall stand up and fight against another.
That's what we're seeing. Ukraine going against Russia, NATO people fighting against, basically handing weapons to them, javelin missiles, which are very expensive and should be preserved for their own troops because their troops are going to need it. But read on. What does it say? That shall be. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
And swords in their hands.
Read on.
Verse 16. For there should be sedition among men. And invading one another.
Oh, what they say the Russia did to the Ukraine?
Invading one another.
Read on.
They shall not regard their kings.
So they shall rely. So with President Zelensky of Russia, what happened to him?
They should not regard their kings.
Read on.
Nor princes. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Most High Christ for the scriptures being true. I got an article for y'all. Check this out. This article says right here, and I'm going to send it to you if you want to go ahead and read it. Let me go ahead and get the link for that, John, real quick. I'm about to text it to you right now. Salakia. Y'all seen the title of this in the chat? Tell me these scriptures ain't true. This is happening right now in front of us. All right, you got the link right now. The title of this article is called Lindsey Graham Stands by Call for Someone in Russia to Assassinate Putin. Now, we know that the word sedition means for somebody to incite somebody to rebel against somebody, meaning that what you're seeing right now in Russia, with all the people trying to riot and start protests on the street, and all they're doing is getting themselves locked up in jail for it, you have people that are trying to incite them to go against their government, which happens all across the place. You're looking at this happening more and more often all across the world. It's happening even in Russia right now, a communist country where people that know they're going to go to jail for protesting in the street, they still go out and do it after the what do you call it? the council of people that are saying, hey, you know what? You need to go ahead and just straight up try to assassinate this dude. This is the only way we're going to get our way path to peace. Because right now, we're on a path to world woe. We're on a path to woe to the world. It says, Lindsey Graham stands by call for someone in Russia to assassinate Putin. He says, Putin has gotten away with murder for 20 years. Enough is enough. He's got to go. You got that article, sir? Yeah. You don't have to read all of it. You can just read like the first paragraph because it wants to try to tell you to do all this subscribing and stuff, and we don't do that here because we don't need it. We already know what happens after that. Read.
Senator Lindsey Graham has called for the assassination of Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Go ahead.
By someone close to him as the country's invasion of Ukraine entered its 9th day on Friday.
Good night. So it's the 9th day of the. This was just 1 or 2 days ago that this occurred. Read on.
In a statement on Twitter on Thursday, the senator from South Carolina asked if the Russian president has a Brutus.
Has a what?
A Brutus.
A what?
A Brutus.
What is Brutus? Who is Brutus? Break it down for us, officer.
Brutus was one of Julius Caesar's best friends and the main conspirator on the murder of Julius Caesar.
Good night. So this man is literally telling Russian President Vladimir Putin and trying to get the word out to his closest boys. Do y'all have a Brutus? Can y'all recreate the past of our empire?
That's heavy.
That's the Roman Empire we're talking about. And guess what? It's the same empire that you're looking at. This is the evolution of the Roman Empire. And he's literally word for word referring to their own history. Go ahead. What you got for me?
That just shows you the psychopathic mind state of a so-called white man.
Right. And it also shows that the scripture's on point when it says that there shall be sedition among men.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because these men are sedition, meaning they're trying to get each other and incite each other to betray one another, to turn away from their own government and backstab and espionage and do all these sorts of things that even happened back in the ancient days of their empire, back when they were in the Greco-Roman Empire. What you got for me now?
That's all politics is. That's all politics is.
That's right.
That's all politics is. When you go into politics, you can definitely bet your bottom dollar that somebody's gonna stab you in the back, just like they did Julius Caesar.
That's just like they did to old Caesar. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying it's history repeating itself. Because what happened shortly after that era, right before the Dark Ages, there was a lot of that going on to the point where Rome fell. At least it looked like seemed like it was going to fall. But guess what? That's also in the scriptures, and that'd be a class for another time. But we gonna get that for you too. But we sticking with the topic here. And basically, what reason I bring this article up is to show you just how exact these scriptures are. Because we're seeing smoke, pillars of fire. We're seeing people invading one another. We're seeing woe in the world, and everybody starting to trip out about the possibility of a giant scale war. And we're seeing sedition among men. We're seeing people not caring about who's king or president. People don't even respect presidents no more. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, it was like, oh, that's the president. But nowadays, half the country hates the president while the other country voted for him. So one half of the country is taking turns hating whatever president is in office, while the other ones are just, glad that their boy made it in office. And so people are not really regarding their kings and princes and people of power. But it says right here, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power, meaning the power that they do have control of, they're going to do it. Meaning this is what happened with Russia. They knew that the only thing that they could do to stop NATO expansion was to go ahead and just go into Ukraine and show them who's boss and put their foot down because of all the expansion that NATO has been doing over the past decades. And so we're seeing it come together. Read on, verse 17. No, you good. That's a heavy point though, right? Like it's beautiful to see the scriptures come to life and to now look at the news in a biblical way and be comforted by it instead of being fearful. You know how powerful that is for you to see crazy stuff on the news that before you came into the truth would have scared you, would have worried you. To see gas prices go up and food prices go up used to scare you, used to make you worry, used to make you have anxiety. Now it gives you strength because you now know and understand the right perspective, the scriptural perspective that the Most High is giving you through the priests and prophets of the UPK. What's up?
The sedition against men, that's been going on in every country that has anything to do with anything. You know what I mean? It happened in Iraq. It happens in Afghanistan.
I'm right.
It happened in Cuba. It happened in
Ukraine. It's happened in Ukraine. Yeah.
It happened in South America. In Nicaragua. You know what I mean? With the Sandinistas, right?
That's right.
It's happening all over the place because that's what the Caucasian race does. They go into a country, right, and they start they start people that are not on the president's side or on the leader of that country's side.
Right.
They give them weapons, they give them things, they give them money to help them revolutionize that country, so they say. That's the same thing they did with Gaddafi. Same thing they did with Gaddafi. It's just, it's so...
Sedition among men. And that's how you know these scriptures have been taking place. These prophecies have been in the works. So now that things are really starting to kick into high gear, do you think it's a good time to go ahead and listen to these prophets in the UPK? Because we are the ones, we are the authority on these scriptures. Your Christian pastor doesn't break the scriptures down like this. They get the bread and butter version that's so easy to understand and doesn't go into detail and doesn't really have the true understanding behind it, because their hope and prayer is that peace comes back on the earth. And they're against Christ when they say that. They're against the determination of the Most High when they say things like that. You understand? So this is the time that we're in, and we need to take it more serious. We ought to be operating as if we are people that are getting ready to be as pilgrims on the earth, as the scripture says. You know what I'm saying? Because things are going to continue to get worse, and we need to be ready for that so that we can survive that phase prior to when the Most High gives us our salvation, prior to when the Most High puts us back in our homeland and back in the power where we should be, but as righteous people, as people that don't compromise on the law and don't compromise on the Most High's orders. What's up?
No, search.
Oh, Salaki. All right, so go ahead and read verse 17.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 17.
The
Lord thy God in the midst of thee.
So, Salaki, you would go to we in 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 17.
Salaki.
No, you good. You good.
I got it right here. Salaki. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 17.
Go ahead.
A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
See that? Read that again.
A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
You want to see that today? I'll show you what's going on right now. We're going to show you that that's exactly what's happening. I could just pull up a live stream, right? I could pull up a live stream. Let me mute this real quick. Hold on. I could pull up a live stream of just whatever's going on right now in the Ukraine and all these people that are, joining in on the things that are happening. This is what's really going on. People are desiring to go back to the way things work. People were desiring to go back to the world before COVID.
Updates of what's really happening. Remember that at this point, the cities close to the capital are the ones that are struggling because Russia is trying to get to Kyiv. The Ukrainian military is evacuating citizens from Bucha city. And there's been very heavy shelling that's been reported in the last few days.
So you can kind of see what's happening here. And, India today, they are directly to the south of Ukraine. So the whole invasion is something they are closely watching. And they have people on the ground floor right as the bombs are being dropped. News reporters from other countries are out there in hotels recording footage from the side of their window. These people are right in the action. Kiev under siege. You can't go into the city of Kiev right now because look at the destruction that's happening.
Bucha on Kiev's outskirts is facing the brunt of attacks.
Can you go into that city right now? No.
Shelling in the backdrop and
This is live right now. We're watching a live stream of the most up-to-date footage coming from the Ukraine right now. I didn't plan this. This is just what's happening. This guy right here, boom, bomb, just dropped. This is what happens when you go into the city right now. You get bombed, son.
Maybe at a distance, but it is quite scary.
I was looking for exactly that clip, and then they showed it on the live stream. That's the Most High right there. Most High Christ. I'm going to continue to play the footage. I'm going to mute it. I'm going to lower the volume so we can hear the scriptures again, because the scriptures is what gives us comfort, not the footage, not so much. You seeing that, right? Salakia, read that scripture one more time while we're watching this footage. Read that again.
A man shall desire to go into a city.
Read on.
And shall not be able.
Read on.
Verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
For because of their pride.
Because of their what?
Because of their pride.
The transgender music is supposed to be all love.
Because of their pride.
Nah, because this is Europe. This can't happen in Europe. This isn't the Middle East with those sand people that live in dunes. Because go ahead.
For because of their pride.
Read.
The city shall be troubled.
Does this look like a troubled city to you? Look at this. Does this look like a troubled city or not? I mean, good night. You seeing this bridge being broken? They had to destroy their own bridge just to slow down the Russian military. You got people that are walking and scrapping by with whatever they can carry to try to survive because they can't go into the city because the city's being blown up and their city is being troubled. Read.
The houses shall be destroyed.
The what?
The houses shall be destroyed.
The what?
The houses shall be destroyed.
What are we seeing in this footage here, people? This is the houses being destroyed. This is the buildings being destroyed. Look at the photos coming up on the side here. Look at the footage of these places being destroyed, the cities being destroyed. And read, continue.
And men shall be afraid.
Men shall be afraid. You got men that are hugging their children and sending them on trains to go to safety while they have to stay and fight. And they got tears in their eyes. Why? Read that again.
And men shall be afraid.
Good night. Read on. I'm going to mute this. Slack. I don't want to interrupt your reading. Keep going.
Verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor.
So Russia has what?
No pity upon his neighbor.
Read.
But shall destroy their houses.
But shall destroy their houses. Read.
With the sword.
With the sword. Keep going.
And spoil their goods.
And spoil their goods. Keep going.
Because of the lack of bread.
Because of the lack of bread. These are things that come as well. Because you think that food's going to get more scarce. Yeah, you could bet your bottom dollar that too. As gas prices go up, trucks are going to have to spend more money to get goods and things all across the countries and places. And guess what? That food's going to become more expensive. And truck drivers are already protesting in mass so that they're not even doing their job no more in a lot of places. So there are a lot of truck drivers right now just laying down their keys and not driving their trucks. And guess what? Those food is not being put on the shelves. And so there's lack of bread. And because of the lack of bread, and because of the crazy inflation rates, and because of the crazy amount of pestilence and famines, that we're going to see people be unbrotherly to each other. And things like this are going to become a commonplace where men are afraid and women are afraid and cannot go into the city, and houses being destroyed, residential buildings being destroyed. You understand? Like, this is what's going on. I could go on. This is just a live feed. I randomly clicked on this, but this is what's going on right now on their side of the globe. You understand? So let me see if I could just find. Look at that. 1 day ago, this clip right here. It says Russia pounds Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv. Residential buildings hit by multiple rocket launchers. You know what I'm saying? Our enemies have made an entire industry off of our destruction, of enjoying seeing us killing each other on shows like Power, on shows where we're thugs and crooks and shooting each other up and destroying our own communities and selling drugs to one another. Well, the Most High is putting it back on their head because now we're seeing it on the news. We're seeing the cinematic footage in real life The Most High is just for doing these things. He's not. The Most High has a plan for the world. Remember? You're supposed to always remember that. Everybody's always like, well, God's in control. God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. God has a plan. This is what he said his plan was. His plan was to be determined to bring the whole world at odds with one another, to prepare for the return of Christ, and to prepare for his glorious victory over these heathen nations that are going to come against him when they see him crack that sky. What we're seeing right now is footage of Ukrainian cities, Russia pounding Ukrainian cities with rocket launchers and all sorts of crazy stuff. All right, we're good on that. I think we've seen enough. Was there more on that? Keep going. Read more. Read on. Where you at? Which verse you at?
Verse 19, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
And for great tribulation.
For great tribulation. Keep going.
Verse 20. Behold, saith God, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me.
Reverence me. Keep going.
Which are from the rising of the sun.
Read that again.
Which are from the rising of the sun.
Which country you think that's talking about? What country calls themselves the country of the rising sun? From talking about from Japan, from China, from the countries over on the east. Basically, what the Most High is saying is everywhere. Read on.
From the south, from the east.
Come on, keep going.
And Libanus.
Keep going. Read on.
To turn themselves one against another. And repay the things that they have done to them.
Read on.
Verse 21. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen.
Read that again.
Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen.
Police brutality, shooting, bombs, destruction. From the Tuskegee experiment to the bombing of Black Wall Street. The Most High does not forget these things because they happened 50, 60, 70 years ago. These are things that he still considers that's going on even to this day. You know what I'm saying? From the oppression, from the destruction of the Native American Indians, from Manifest Destiny and the Trail of Tears and Wounded Knee. All the treaties that they broke with the Native Americans, they are now dealing with the fact that they also are breaking treaties they had dealt with each other, and now we're going to war against each other. Because this is how they operate, and that operation is going to recompense themselves on their own head. Read on.
So will I do also, and recompense in their bosom.
Read on.
Thus saith the Lord God.
Keep going. Verse 22.
My right hand shall not spare the sinners.
He said, what?
My right hand shall not spare the sinners.
And this is why the Most High said that our people are not to be taking part in the iniquity of this place. While everybody else is going left and smoking weed to forget about the wars that are going on. While everybody is trying to commit homosexuality and every vain thing from the holiday seasons, from even something like Halloween and Christmas and Easter and 4th of July and New Year's, all these things that these heathen do that are considered iniquity in the eyes of the Most High. The Most High says, what? Read that again, verse 22.
My right hand shall not spare the sinners.
Don't take part in that. Remember, Babylon the Great is fallen and has become the habitation of devils. Revelation 18:4 says what? It says, come out of her, my people, that ye take not part in her iniquities, nor have to deal with her plagues. Because the Most High says his right hand shall not spare the sinners. So we need to repent from our wicked ways and come back to the truth. Read on.
Salaki. And my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth.
That's what our people have been. We've been innocent blood on the earth. When you see a 6-year-old kid get shot by the police because he has a plastic gun, you know what I'm saying? And he just want to play water fight. You know what I'm saying? Or when you have a kid in a school getting body slammed by the cop just because she acted up a little bit in class. What is it that they're doing? They're shedding innocent blood on the earth. And the Most High remembers it. And now he's calling to action those very same people to now go to war against each other. What great power do we serve in the Most High when we have a power that can make our enemies kill each other and we don't even have to lift a finger? We ought to make sure that we're serving that power and that we are not sinning, because the Most High says right here, he is not going to spare us if we're taking part in the things that they do. Separate yourselves from these nations so that we can rise as our own nation, and the Most High will put us where we always have been ordained to be on this earth, in rulership, in leadership, in righteousness. And we are now seeing the fall of what happens with a kingdom that leads the world through wickedness. We're seeing the fall of this kingdom. We're seeing the fall in the effort of them putting in, trying to get ahead through lies and deception. And they're so used to it that they've done it to each other, and now they're going to war against each other. They don't disregard their princes. They don't regard the cities of the people that used to call themselves brothers and families of this people. That's why the Ukrainians and the Russians are fighting each other right now, though they used to be considered family. Read on.
Verse 23.
Go ahead.
The fire is gone forth from his wrath and has consumed the foundations of the earth.
Good night. Keep going.
And the sinners, like the straw that is kindled. Verse 24. Woe to them that sin.
Woe to them that what?
Woe to them that sin.
Read on.
And keep not my commandments.
When he's talking about Most High does not spare the sinners, he's also reassuring. We just read the same thing 2 verses ago, but he's saying it again because he wants you to understand that you not taking part in the Passover considers you to be sinning in these days. You not coming to Sabbath service or camp or taking part in the culture that the Most High made for you considers you to be committing iniquity. It's not just about what you don't do. Salaki, it's not just about what you do that's against the Most High and eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster and celebrating the customs of the heathens. It's the things of our culture that you miss out on because of our laziness and our selfishness that also cause woe to come upon us. And the Most High said that. He said, woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments. Read on.
Verse 25. I will not spare them.
He couldn't be more straightforward than that. Go ahead.
Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary.
Defile not my sanctuary, meaning the I.S.U.P.K. Don't come into this truth in half step. Don't come into the truth and not put in the work that you need to put in to earn your election and to earn your salvation. Remember, the scripture says not to be idle with your hands. It says not to be lacking or slacking with your hands. You ought to be putting in the work because the Most High is ordering you to, not because I'm telling you to. We're reading the Bible. We're reading the words of the Most High. So we know it's him that's saying these things. And it's just our job to bring these scriptures to you so that you understand where you're at in these days. So that you can take a look at the world around you and say, you know what? These scriptures, man, they're saying the right thing. And everything that it says is going to happen is happening or has happened already. And you can be rest assured that the scripture, what it says is going to happen next, is going to happen next. So have faith. Keep the Most High's commandments and don't sin, said the Lord, because he ain't going to spare those that don't keep his commandments. Read on.
Verse 26. For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him.
Nah, I'm alone in my room, and what I do in my room, nobody knows about. What'd he say?
For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him.
Nah, I got away from my murder case. I'm good.
For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him.
Nah, because I now give money and give casino hotels to the Native Americans and say that they have their own education system, so they're no longer oppressed because I took care of them. No, isn't that what it said? What did it say?
For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him.
Read.
And therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction.
What kind of death and destruction? Read on.
Verse 27. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth.
Oh, the SARS virus. Read on. Read that again.
For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth.
Ebola in the early 2000s.
For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth.
COVID-19.
For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth.
Read on.
And ye shall remain in them.
Nah, but COVID's going away. We got vaccines now.
And ye shall remain in them.
Nah, but I could go back to the club because they opened up the club. We just got to wear a mask.
And ye shall remain in them.
Understand that? Read on.
For God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him.
So those of you that are going out to the club and homegirls that are kissing their own homegirls in the mouth at the club because you're drunk and you're gadding abroad and you're full of lust and you're full of selfishness, the Most High is not going to deliver you from these plagues that are continuing and remaining on the earth. That's why there's a new virus variant every other week. You know what I'm saying? We had the Cybertron virus, what was it? They try to call it the Mega Omicron. You know what I'm saying? They got the Alpha, they got the Omega Mon, they got all kinds of virus versions coming out. And who knows what comes next after COVID? Because we know what happened in Egypt. They killed the firstborn sons of everybody in all of Egypt that weren't Israelites. So you best believe that the Most High can have something up his sleeve to come next, even if it's not COVID. And you might have had COVID once or twice, but you seen what it did to your lungs. You seen how it took its toll on your body. A lot of our brothers even gone through it and fought through it. But we got to understand the Most High is going to take care of those that are not sinning. The Most High is going to be preventing death and destruction to those of his people that are actually taking heed to these orders and these warnings that he's given us. You understand? Read on. What are we at? Verse 28?
All right.
Go ahead.
Verse 28. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east.
Go ahead.
Verse 29. Where the nations of the dragons and of Arabia shall come out with many chariots.
With many what?
With many chariots.
Dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots. Read on.
And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth.
These chariots moving across the air as the wind upon earth. Read on.
That all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
Yeah, that's right. Because what you're seeing right now is a preview of what's to come. So we're going to continue in these prophecies because what you're going to see is more fighter jet battles. Skip down to verse 34. Go ahead. Skip down to verse 34.
Verse 34. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south.
Yep.
And they are very horrible to look upon.
So these clouds that we're talking about from the east, from the north, and to the south, very horrible to look upon. Read on.
Full of wrath and storm.
Read.
They shall smite one upon another.
These clouds will what?
They shall smite one upon another.
These dragons that are carried upon the wind will what?
Smite one upon another.
Read.
And they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth.
Good night. Go ahead and get to that article I sent you in the text message. I want to show you what we're talking about here. So we're talking about clouds striking each other down upon the earth. We're still talking about the invasion of one nation attacking another nation. We're still talking about houses being destroyed. We're still talking about all these things. And therefore, prophecies are always going to be on point with what we see in these videos that we've been talking about. And now, for the years that we've been in captivity, our oppressor has taken us and put us on display in the sports, in the gladiator arenas, if this was the time of Rome, in the football coliseums, in the NBA basketball courts, where they present us and they look at us as these commodities. Here's your starting five lineup of tonight of the slaves that are going to score and make baskets and dunk and do all these things for you so that you can be wowed at the amazement of our entertainment. The Most High is creating your entertainment right now, black man, Hispanic man. He's putting together the starting lineup of your enemies in these clouds that are striking against each other in the air. And the wars to come, the combat to come, the air combat to come. You got that article for me, Anwar?
Ready?
Go ahead.
10 most capable jets in the Russian Air Force arsenal.
Oh, here we go. Here's the starting lineup: the 10 most capable jets in the Russian arsenal. Let's see what Russia's got up their sleeve, and whether or not they can compete with the team of the West. Let's see what they got. Go ahead and read. You can skip the first paragraph. You know what? No, go ahead. Go ahead and read the first paragraph during World War II. That one right there. And everybody in the chat, let me know. Make sure you could. I just want to make sure y'all brothers and sisters can see this. Read on.
Can I read right up under the?
Oh, please go for it.
Russia is one of the world's most feared military forces.
Ooh-wee. What did the scripture say again? Hold on. You don't have to get it. I'll read it myself. What did it say? It says. Oh yeah. It says, and all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Talking about them chariots. Talking about the multitude of chariots carried as the wind upon the earth. Read on.
And these aircrafts are a big part of the reason why.
You best believe that, because that's their pride and joy in their warfare. Read on.
During World War II.
What? During what?
During World War II.
We talked about that a class ago. World War I, World War II, and even the scriptures specifically talked about one of the most powerful conventional weapons of warfare, right? It was the plane, because of what the plane's capabilities are. We're going to read about the capabilities of these planes, because these planes are being utilized in the Ukraine. And these planes are going to be utilized in the war to come. You best believe that's going to be a big factor. You don't just got foot soldiers. You're going to have things like this. Things that are, what did the scripture say? We just read it. So like, you can hold that. I'm going to get it for you. It says, behold, clouds from the east and from the north and to the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. That's what it's talking about. Read on.
During World War II, Britain and the United States formed an alliance with Russia to defeat Nazi Germany.
Read on.
While the UK and the US led strategic bombing campaigns, Russia provided much of the manpower utilized in the operation.
Read on.
And even though the U.S. Air Force boasts of some of the latest and most powerful aircrafts in the world, such as an F-22 Raptor and an F-35 Joint Strike Fighter.
Ooh, read that again. What's their top two pride and joy right there?
F-22 Raptor
and
an F-35 Joint Strike Fighter.
JSF. Read on.
Russia has built some insane aircraft over the past few years.
Read on.
Following the dismissal performance of the Russian Air Force in the Russia-Georgia War in 2008, Moscow started a campaign to improve the capacity of the Russian Aerospace Force.
Good night. They're talking about, we need to level up, because what we did in 2008 was clown shoes. We need to step our game up. We need to make sure that our Air Force is ready for when these prophecies unfold. And they ain't say it like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what's happening. Read on.
This campaign led to the procurement of over 460 brand new fixed wing combat aircraft.
Okay, go ahead. Read on.
360 attack helicopters and 100 jet trainers.
Go ahead.
On top of all that, over 500 aircraft consisting of interceptors.
Of what?
Interceptors.
Read.
Attack helicopters.
Read.
And jet trainers were heavily modernized. Here are the 10 military aircraft that make up the Russian Air Force arsenal.
Beautiful. The Most High is putting together the narrative of Top Gun for us to see. And you're seeing this footage going on in the Ukraine as if it's a movie. It's almost unreal on just how high quality this footage is coming out. They didn't even have it like that. I mean, maybe World War II, they had, war correspondents, people on the ground recording the footage that was going on. But the news is coming so fast. If you stop paying attention to the news for one day, you're way behind. You need to catch up on the new episode of World War III. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost at the point right now where the Most High is just making it cinematic. And because of where we're at now with the technology, we're literally seeing these scriptures come to life. We just read in the Bible that it talks about clouds from these nations striking each other. And then we're looking at the footage from the Ukraine attack helicopters being shot down, the chariots of the Russian army being shot down. Yeah, these Ukrainian people, they can hold on for so long, but there comes a point where that air force is going to be vital, and they don't have an air force. That's why you see Zelensky crying and screaming to NATO, please send me some airplanes. I ain't got no chariots to fight against Russia's chariots. I ain't got no clouds to fight against these clouds coming from the east. This is scriptures we're talking about here. Let's read about some of these weapons of war. What's number 10 on the list? Let's get the starting lineup. Actually, this is the bench player right here. This is a bench player. What's this one right here?
Well, Mikoyan MiG-29.
This is the MiG-29. What we know about the MiG-29? Go ahead.
The MiG-29 with the NATO code name Fulcrum was introduced by the Soviet Air Forces in 1982. It's a twin-engine fighter jet built to counter the United States General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon.
Good night. They said it was a jet designed for World War III. It was designed. They're telling you straight up. And what was it that just happened right now? Poland denied sending backup planes to the Ukraine, but the U.S. was telling them, hey, if you go ahead and give them planes, we'll give you some F-16s. Got those F-16s. We know that scares the Russians. They're gonna have the MiGs there, but the MiG is an older plane from 1982, and the F-16 is also an older plane, which is a great multi-role bench player. The only reason I know that is because my father's slavery, his whole entire life, damn near, was working on them damn F-16s. And he was the dude telling everybody how to make sure that everything was right. So he knows about that stuff, and he knows the capabilities of those fighters. What I'm trying to tell you right now is this was built to counter the F-16, one of the most maneuverable planes ever made. Go ahead. The MiG-29. That said, go ahead.
That said, the MiG-29 has since been turned into a multi-role aircraft with the ability to carry out a wide range of operations, including reconnaissance, air-to-air combat, and aerial bombing.
So now, when we talked about World War I and what the planes were capable of doing back then, they were not able to do a whole lot because all they had was a gun on the top. And eventually, what they started doing, they said, hey, you know what? Maybe we should put bombs on this plane. So World War I, towards the end, they had bombs and things that they would have ordinances to drop on enemy territory, enemy houses, residential buildings, enemy military complex vehicles, and things like that. It was all part of tactical warfare, and they started to understand the importance of it, especially when they see the Most High's chariots in the air and what our people's air force is capable of, and that they'll never be able to keep up with that. But they're still trying, though. And their pride and joy and their technological advancements are trying to prepare for that. And we're seeing this is the frontline grunt, the OG on the block, the MiG-29 Fulcrum, the cheap one that's been around, and it's a multi-role fighter. It's supposed to be a little bit good at a couple different things, just like the F-16. Read on.
Over the years, several variants of the MiG-29 have been developed, including the navalized.
You just call it MiG-29.
Okay, the navalized MiG-29K. Russia, Slovakia, 29K, like 1,000.
29K. It's just the title of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like an updated version of it, right?
Like 29,000. Russia has exported the MiG-29 over 30 nations, including India, Bulgaria, and Bangladesh.
So aircraft is a big industry. If you look right now on the stock market, Lockheed Martin and military aircraft companies like Boeing and McDonnell Douglas, those that have a public stock, those are starting to go up because they know that there's big business in these chariots and these weapons of war. What's number 9 on the list? This is a newcomer right here. What we got right here?
The MiG-35.
The MiG-35. Read on. This is the MiG. This is the new boy right here. What's this one?
The MiG-35 multi-role jet is codenamed Fulcrum F by the Russian Air Force. According to Defense I.Q., Fulcrum F which was unveiled at the Moscow Air Show in 2017, is basically an upgrade of the MiG-29KR.
That's what they do, is they just did an incremental upgrade, something that was efficient, because again, Russia may not have as much money for military, so they done made the MiG-35, which is capable of basic stealth. You know, it's not built from the ground up to be stealth, so it's not that stealthy. It can still be shot down by Javelin missiles. It can still be shot down by Stinger missiles and anti-air armaments that can lock onto targets from ground to air combat. And look at that. Very fearful to look upon. Let's look at what the scripture says. That's a perfect picture. This says, behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. What does that look like right there, ladies and gentlemen? Horrible to look upon.
Yeah.
Look at that right there, though.
It looks pretty lit, though.
Yo, no, he's full of wrath and storm, because you know what those missiles will do when they hit their target, right? That's what it's talking about in the scriptures. And if you think that that's talking about something from thousands of years ago, you're horribly mistaken, because they didn't have weapons of war that were in the air all those years ago that were capable of things like that. This is how you know we're talking about the prophecies of the Bible and how it relates to what's going on today. And this is why you look at the footage going on in Ukraine, and you look and see why Zelensky's so afraid, is because these things are horrible to look upon when they're coming for you. That's what a jet is supposed to do. And guess what? The Most High's got something for him too. You just wait. You know what I'm saying? The way it sounds. That's why the scripture is talking about that when they that hear it were troubled by it. This is the MiG-35. This is their second best fighter jet, if I would say. So they says there's two versions of it. Let me hear a little bit more about that.
There are two versions of the MiG-35. The MiG-35S and the MiG-35UB.
Go ahead.
The former is the single-seat fighter jet.
Okay. Solo dolo style. And then what else we got?
While the later is a two-seater version.
Two-seater. That's a two-seater right there. You see the guy sitting behind the other one. They're looking at the camera. They might as well be waving like, hey, look, in the picture right there. Two-seaters. So you got two men operating this wrathful cloud right here. Go ahead.
Unlike the MiG-29, the MiG-35 features a specially designed optical locator system that allows the aircraft to operate without any reliance on ground-controlled interceptions.
So they're very versatile. One thing about the MiG that they've really focused on for my studies is they focus on super maneuverability, being able to take really tight turns for the purposes of dogfighting. They're created to be advanced fighter jets, ace combat fighter jets. Read on. Verse 8. What's number 8 on the list? We don't have to read all of these. We're just kind of getting an idea of what they have there. You know what I'm saying? So what we got next here is the Sukhoi.
Yeah, Sukhoi Su-27.
Su-27. What's this one?
I don't know. It looks like a seagull.
Read on.
Pelican or something.
Good night. What's this?
What's the birds that swoop down and grab the fish out of the water with the big water?
Oh, the seagull. No, that's
a pelican.
Pelican, yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Read. What does it say about it?
The Sukhoi Su-27 with the NATO code name Flanker.
His code name is what?
Flanker.
It's built to do what?
Flank.
Go ahead, read on.
I want to say.
That's exactly what the Pelican does. Is he comes in, he flanks him. Yeah, that's what it's built to do. It's exactly what that is. They take it from nature. Go ahead.
Is a twin-engine super maneuverable fighter jet introduced in 1985. The Flanker was built with an air superiority missions in the mind, and as a rival to fourth generation U.S. aircrafts like F-15 Eagle and Grumman F-14 Tomcat.
So the F-15 Strike Eagle, that's the air superiority fighter of the United States Air Force. And then the F-14 Tomcat is the Navy version of pretty much that same plane. but with Navy, components in mind, like the swept-back wings. So the Sukhoi Su-27, the flanker, was introduced in 1985 during the Cold War still, built with air superiority in mind. So again, they still have these planes because they've always had it in mind that they wanted to rebuild the USSR, that Russia always wanted to get back together with their old homies from all across Europe, right? And they wanted to go ahead and get the power to fight America. And so it's biblical prophecy that you're seeing these things be built all the way back then, but are still being implemented today. They were built for war, not peace. What's up?
I want to see what they do.
The flanker?
I want to see what they all do. I just want to see that, like,
bro, I can get you a video. That's no sweat. Look, if you want to see how maneuverable it is, I mean, that's just hey, we got the time for it. I can show you. This thing wants to load. Slocky.
Yep, I had that same problem yesterday.
Hold on, we got this. So this was the Su-27? Su-27, super maneuverability. This is what it does.
Just us in class anyway.
Hey, no sweat, man. Look, this is all about warfare anyways. And us being men of war, us being interested in this sort of stuff, is what, it's interesting to see what our adversary is capable of. So check out the video. I'm gonna play it. You're gonna see the kind of moves that this thing can do. And the sake of dogfighting, it's good to be able to change directions really fast, even at slow speeds or even at high speed. So what you're seeing it doing is the way it's moving is just basically, of course, it has to obey the laws of physics. It's not able to defy the laws of physics like the Most High's chariots. But this is the best we could do with the technology we got. Are you seeing this?
Yeah, I'm watching.
Yeah, you seeing how it's moving?
yeah, going up and down.
Yeah, you seen that maneuverability there? That's the Sukhoi 27. It was built. Look at that right there. Look, it's like it's just posted up like that. See the way it's moving? These things are built.
It's almost like doing like I don't know how to explain it. Yeah,
it's kind of like a swan dive. You know what I mean? Like a bird in the air. The way that it's gonna maneuver. Look, you see that right there? Now imagine being able to lock onto a target because the way you're moving. Our adversary is trying his best to copy what the Most High's military can do, to be able to switch directions fast, to be able to have situational awareness, to be able to have stealth.
Is that like on fire or something, or are they just like?
What are you talking about?
When all that smoke starts coming from it.
No, that's just the air being separated around the wings. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a certain temperature, so it's going to change the temperature around it. That's all it really is. And so really what's going on here, we're just seeing this jet in the way that it can move. All right, so we're good on that. That's the Sukhoi 27, but that's not even Russia's most capable jet. We see that's number 8 on the list. So you talk about like the starting lineup. That's James Worthy right there, yo. That's James Worthy right there. That's what that fighter jet is in the starting lineup. It's a very capable player that's gonna put in the minutes. He's gonna get his points, right? But it ain't the all-star of the show. I mean, he was good, and this thing's very capable of taking over. But my goodness, you seeing this? That's actually the Ukraine. That's a Ukraine jet right there. You see the Ukraine symbol?
The Sukhoi.
Well, got the camo on it. Yeah, that's still the Sukhoi. Right after you read F-14 Tomcat, it says the flanker can perform almost every aerial warfare operation. It was deployed against Georgian forces during the war that lasted from 92 to 93. In 2008, the Russian Air Force deployed the Su-27 during the South Ossetia War. Let's get number 7. We're going to skip a couple of these, but let's just name them. Well, so what we got? We got the Sukhoi what?
The Sukhoi Su-30.
So this is the Su-30, man. So this one's just an updated version of what we were talking about before. Faster, quicker, you know what I mean? We'll skip it down. We'll skip that one. It's pretty much the same thing.
Look like a seagull.
Okay, what's the next one? Number 6.
The Sukhoi Su-34.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between these dang planes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to tell. But this one's a little bit different from the other ones. Read this one. This one's interesting.
The Sukhoi Su-34, codenamed Fullback, is a Russian multi-role aircraft that was commissioned in 1990 by the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
The two-seat, two-engine fighter bomber Striker aircraft was built essentially to target naval and ground forces.
This plane is operated by two pilots, and the pilots don't sit behind each other. They sit next to each other. So when you look at the cockpit, it's very wide. It's got a fat face. Yeah, it's got a real big face because the boys are sitting next to each other, and one of them's operating the bombs, the other one's flying the plane. So they got a lot that they're working with. Full of wrath to look upon. I mean, we really hitting home on the fact that these scriptures are so real, because what we're talking about right here, and again, I'm going to read the scriptures again for those that are just tuning in. It says, "Behold, clouds from the east and from the north and to the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite upon one another. They shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly." And it was talking about right here. That's why you have assassinations. I believe, like when you see a bomb strike happen from a fighter jet or a stealth fighter bomber, and then you see them take out a priority target. That's when it's taking out a star on the earth. That's what it's talking about in the scriptures. So this fullback is like the running back of the fighter jet squadron of the Russian Federation. It's like the linebacker. It's supposed to break through and bomb stuff on the ground to pave the way for their tanks to move in.
And the fullback is supposed to block the linebacker.
Yeah, true.
That's
that's why they call it fullback. It's kind of interesting.
Built to hit shit.
We got stuff to flank. They got ones called the fulcrum. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds kind of cool. Then you got the fullback. This boy's just supposed to bust through. Because when you got a running back in the day in football, they used to have a running back and a fullback, right?
Right. The fullback is the blocker for the running back.
Good night. For real?
They use the fullback.
But didn't they ever run the ball with the fullback too?
Yeah, they do.
So he's like the defensive / offensive multi-role aircraft of the Russian military. So that's crazy, yo. And this ain't even. Look at that picture right there. What? And they put the candy paint on it too. They put the sky blue on it just for the style, boy, because it's fearful to look upon.
I'll be nervous.
Man, what was that one even called? Oh, the Su-34. And they got the Su-35. Okay, bada bing, bada boom. It says the Su-35 multi-role, 2 engines, 2-seater is an enhancement of the Su-27. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of the planes look the same, right? A lot of them look the same. Go ahead and get to number 4. This is the most important one, actually. What's this one?
Sukhoi Su-57.
Su-57. What is this plane right here?
The Sukhoi Su-57 is a multi-role, single-seat, twin-engine jet produced by the PAKFA.
No, the PAKFA. I don't even.
Codename Felon.
Felon. Read.
The Su-57 is designed with stealth, super cruise, and super maneuverable technology for the Russian military service.
The Su-57 is Russia's version of the F-22 Raptor. You can tell because it uses the same angles from right here and right here, and the coating on it uses a carbon nanotube coating. This is what the United States started doing ever since the Nighthawk or the B-2 bomber, and eventually the F-35 and F-22 all use stealth technology because that nanomaterial absorbs radar. So when you try to scan on your radar, when your little artillery weapon that you set up at the border to defend your country is scanning on its radar to find targets to shoot, on constant alert that this plane is designed to absorb the pings coming from those scanners so that it can go undetected. And that's why it's called the Felon. So you got the fullback, you got the flanker, you got the folk. Like, they got a whole team of planes ready for action. You know what I'm saying? And then they name them accordingly. The felon's supposed to be the one that sneaks through the window without you noticing and take your cookies.
And then the fullback come through it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy, yo.
And then everybody else comes and kicks in.
And then what's even crazier about it is that just like the F-22 Raptor, it has weapon bays that are internal. So it doesn't have a bunch of missiles hanging out on the front unless it has some other mission that stealth isn't a priority.
What do you mean internal?
It has an internal weapons bay that closes and opens. So when it has to shoot a missile, doors open, and then the missiles shoot out so it can go after the target. So it's built with stealth in mind, because if you have weapons and you have missiles hanging out on the outside, that can be picked up by radar. So they want the most faintest. This is basically, this isn't even the quarterback. This is like the, man, I don't even know. If this was football, is one thing. But
the slot receiver.
That's a great comparison.
It'll be the slot receiver because you know the slot receivers always go.
He's doing some tricky stuff. He's getting in there and he's doing he's getting the open. He's trying to get the open look, right?
He's running slant.
Yeah, he running slant. That's what the Pac-5 is, which is their pride and joy, but they don't have that many built. So they got some. I
bet you they got a lot built now.
Yep. Read on. This thing has a. I mean, we don't have to go all into it, but just look at that thing, full of wrath.
It is capable of performing ground strikes, aerial combat, and even maritime strike.
Mm-hmm.
What's maritime strike?
I think that's nuclear strike, but I could be wrong. Slacky, let me see. Maritime means connected with the sea, especially in relation to seafaring, commercial, or military. So naval, basically.
Oh yeah, come off.
Marine. That's what it means. Maritime. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, go ahead.
Maritime strike. The Felon was introduced in the Russian military service in 2020 as a replacement for the older generational combat aircraft like the Su-27 and the MiG-29.
So you're talking about World War III coming? They got to produce more of these. They got to, if they want to compete with the F-22 Raptor. But Russia's put most of their technology in nuclear hypersonic nukes. And that's what they flex. And that's why America is not fighting in the Ukraine right now. Because if Russia didn't have nukes,
oh man, they'd be getting bullied.
They'd be getting bullied in Ukraine because NATO would have stepped in and they would have did their thing. But remember, Russia, they are still focusing on conventional warfare, but they got some other things in mind. Now we'll just read the top three. We don't have to, God, what in the heck is this? Look like something from like a movie, bro. Number 3 is the what?
The Tupolev Tu-160.
What's this one code name?
Blackjack.
So this one's the ace in the hole. This one's the trick card right here.
Right, Blackjack.
Golly, man.
Was built by the Tupolev with the Tupolev design bureau as part of the aircraft arsenal of the Soviet Union and introduced in 1987. The Blackjack is a variable sweep supersonic wing-heavy bomber with about 16 units still in service as of 2016. The Blackjack is the largest combat aircraft and the fastest bomber in existence.
Now you see why the one's ranked number 3 ahead of the Pak-5. It's ranked 3 ahead of the Pak-5 because of 2 reasons. The Pak-5, or what they code name it again, the Su-57. They haven't built that many of them, but this is the fastest bomber, and it can carry a nuclear payload. It can carry a nuclear bomb, and it can get that bomb where it needs to really fast. It says 1380 miles per hour at 40,000 feet. That's a beast right there.
It says the fastest bomber in existence, so it ain't nothing catching it. That's what it said.
Okay, now you can skip number 2 because that's a reconnaissance plane. What?
Tyree Hill.
What the heck is number 1? What is that? I don't even think I've heard of this. Oh, that's a trainer jet. I don't know why that's considered number 1. That's weird. So I guess number 1 is their
number 2 looks like a commercial aircraft unit.
Yeah, it's a reconnaissance plane. But again, we're going over these. We went over these just to have fun with it. Because the thing is, you know, the white man being what he is to us, he always puts us on display for everything we do to make his kingdom great. And now we get to see what the Most High's got in play for our entertainment. So when you seeing these videos of bombs being dropped and fighter jets flying through the air, you're looking at 10 of the most capable jets in the Russian Air Force's arsenal. And the funny thing is Ukraine also has purchased some of those jets, so they have a very similar capability if they have any left. You know what I'm saying? If Poland has any left to sell them or give them. So that's what's going on there. And then just real quick, I know we're running low on time.
Damn.
What's up?
Salakia. The first one, you know, the number one plane, the Mitten.
Yeah, that's the trainer jet, though.
Yeah, I know. It said the Mitten can simulate the tactics of other combat aircrafts and carries reconnaissance pods, weapons, radar jammers, and suspended fuel tanks.
So I guess this one's just built to pretend to be the enemy's planes. That's pretty cool. Well, I got on the screen right here.
But it's also it can also be used like reconnaissance pods and used for like weapons and radar jammers.
Good night.
Yeah, they'll send those in first. To jam the radars and just send the stealth planes in the fullback.
That's crazy, right? Like they got a whole team. They got the point guard, right? They got the shooting guard, you know what I mean? Like they got the power forward, you know what I mean? Like then the bomber, that's the center right there, right? Like that's crazy, bro. They got the full thing. So we get to now watch them entertain us with the warfare that they go against each other.
Radar jammers.
Check out the link I sent you just now.
I need some popcorn.
You better go get some popcorn before there's no more popcorn in the store.
Popcorn, so I can watch that thing.
You know what I'm saying? And then now you got movies like Top Gun getting ready to come out, right? You know what I'm saying? So you're going to see a lot of propaganda in that movie talking about this is a capability of what we can do. Or movies like Independence Day 2, Resurgence, where you have these futuristic planes they use to fight against the aliens. Oh my goodness. If I can show you the video. No, I'm not gonna do that for this class. I'll say that for another class. But this article right here, did you get that article?
Yes, I did. I'm on it.
Just real quick. Well, let's read again because we've seen the Russian side of things. Let's see what it's got to go up against.
The U.S. flies its F-35s in full stealth mode near Belarus.
Now, Belarus, that's north of Ukraine. That's right next to Russia. So they've been teasing them with these F-35s and testing the waters of what their joint strike fighter is capable of. Read on. That thing is right there is a serious beast right there.
It look nice.
Go ahead.
The U.S. Air Force has confirmed that its F-35s flew over Eastern Europe and even carried out refueling missions in the area days after the beginning of the Russian invasion.
Good night. Read on.
Following the Russian invasion, the North Atlantic NATO allies have declared that they will not send their troops to war in Ukraine.
Right, because they can't. Read on.
However, that isn't stopping them from being prepared should the situation escalate into a bigger war.
Into a bigger war. Keep going.
According to the Business Insider, an F-35 Lightning II aircraft flew from Spain Delham.
You could go ahead and skip to the next paragraph. F-35s in full stealth mode. This is what I wanted to get right here. I just wanted to show y'all the difference between the two nations and their ideology moving into the future.
F-35s in full stealth mode, according to analysis. The F-35 seen in the images released by the USAF,
right,
United States Air Force, are not carrying radar cross sections, enhancers, or reflectors during this mission.
Now they do that to keep track of each other, but these aircraft were in full stealth mode, meaning they took off their cross reflect. Basically, they went full stealth. They were flying around with the thought in mind that they needed to be fully combat capable. And so they're testing the waters with flying their planes ready for the next air-to-air combat mission to come and the war to come. So we saw the lineup of what the Russians are capable of. This is a multi-role fighter that was built to be for the Marines, the Air Force, the Navy, for the United States and its NATO allies. A very expensive project. This F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is a very capable craft. It is not as maneuverable as those Russian MiGs are. They're not. But they rely on really, really high-tech technology so that they can engage targets beyond the visible range, so that they don't have to even get in close. And there's no such thing as a dogfight, supposedly, when you're in one of these, because you could see what's going on around you for miles, and they cannot see you. So that's why this one's called the Lightning, because it strikes and it's gone within an instant before you even know it was there. That's the idea behind that's behind the United States F-35, which I believe was built by Lockheed Martin and is to be the sister or brother to the F-22, which is the full, what do you call it? The air dominance fighter. What is it called? Basically, these are the fighter jets that we're talking about in the scriptures. These are those clouds that are wrathful. We looked at in these scriptures when it talks about these things. It says, where was it? We were just at, and they which hear them may fear and tremble, because the engines are so loud. And jet engines sound like thousands of horsepower. You know what I'm saying? Crazy sound, and they need all that to do what it can do. Meanwhile, the Most High's chariots, you can't even really hear it. You can't keep up with it. You can't lock onto it. You can't see it on. I don't know if you can see it on radar, but you sure can't do anything about it, even if it's on your radar. But this is the technology that these nations are working with, and we're seeing that in the scriptures in the time where they're invading each other, in the time where they're destroying each other's houses, and you're seeing all this stuff on the news. But don't be afraid of that, Israel, because that is not our war right there. That is not our war. And so let them do this, because the Most High wills for it to be so. So with that, this is the I.S.U.P.K. starting out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible, that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the real Israelites that the Bible speaks of, and this book is real. And if you couldn't figure that out from this class and the scriptures that we've gone over, Lord be with you, because these scriptures right here are very accurate to what we're seeing today, and there's no denying it. Right. So again, what we talk about, I'm gonna leave y'all with one bonus clip. You understand? We're gonna check out a clip from Crux real quick. All right, before we close the class out. I know we went a little bit over 2 hours, but this is what's going on right now. I want to keep you on the know about what's happening. So not only do you have the Ukrainian war going on, you also have those F-35 fighters we just talked about that are putting in work against Iran, because, again, the Israeli state is still making their moves to gain a foothold in the Middle East to withstand their lie of them being the real Jews, and they're not. And so you're seeing more combat. You're seeing more clouds striking each other, striking residential areas, striking military installations and military equipment from other nations. And it's all biblical. So we ought to understand these things and come back to the scriptures and know that these scriptures are true. And because of that, now we can get away from being confused that these scriptures are not real. That's what the world tries to tell you. But the I.S.U.P.K. is going to show you just how real this book is. This one's talking about drones, which is a whole different thing. Drones is just a different part of warfare for them. Hold on, let me see here. That one was lit. What was that? Delicious. Oh, you talking about that? Good night. Look at this footage. This looks like something straight out of like the video games that brothers be playing online and stuff.
Oh, that's not a video game?
No, this is like actual footage. That beat go hard too.
And who's that?
This is Ukraine. This is the scriptures talking about, let the weak say I am strong, wake up the mighty men. This is the mighty men being woken up.
So that's the Ukraine army?
Yeah.
All the mercenaries and shit?
Yeah, they're getting ready to siege Kiev. Or Kyiv, or whatever you call it.
Oh, so it's those are Russians.
Those were Ukrainians.
That was marching?
Yeah. That's why you got the Ukrainian flag. That's the Ukrainian flag. Remember that flag color we kept seeing at camp? That's what that is. All right, so with that, again, war is going to continue to happen, so you can stay in the know on that. But keep these scriptures in mind, because as you're seeing these things happening, let the scriptures give you the comfort and knowing that these prophecies are the real deal, man. And that at the school here in the I.S.U.P.K, we're only here to show you the truth. We're only here to show you the Bible. We're not giving you our opinions of what it is. It's exactly what it says it is. You understand? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass the class over to Priest and Officer Kabar, okay, for the security announcements.
These are the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. Start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are to be off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shut themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has their interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Ties, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 chapter verse 21 or Malachi the 3rd chapter verses 8 through 10. I.S.U.P.K means 10th in Hebrew. 10% of any penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Passover, the 14th day of the first month, will be celebrated. We will keep it on Friday, April 15, 2022. You can find this in Exodus, the 12th chapter, verses 1 through 51. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, verses 4 through 5. And 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, verses 7 and 8. And 2 Chronicles, chapter 30, verse 17. And if any brother wants to become a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, scarf. And that will conclude the security announcements.
On Christ. And for the prayer, the class today, we're going to do the rank and order prayer. Sar, turn and face the east, and just repeat after me. I got it.
Not the Lord's Prayer?
I got this.
You don't want to do the Lord's Prayer?
We can do it afterward. I got you. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahweh Shai.
Shai.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Woman Yaka'ala.
Woman Yaka'ala.
Matazab Ya'ah.
Matazab Ya'ah.
Alawap Yahana.
Alawap Yahana.
Ha Alawapyam.
Alawapyam.
Hasaranyam.
Hasaranyam.
Hakwatazayanyam.
Hakwatazanyam.
Haka Yayalyam.
Haka Yayalyam.
Waha Akwathyam.
Alawapyam.
Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
The water.
The water.
Aman.
Aman.
Now the Lord's Prayer in the ancient Hebrew. Abanaw.
Abanaw.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Shemka.
Shemka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakutka.
Malakutka.
Taba'ah.
Taba'ah.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Ba'arataza.
Ba'arataza.
Kuwa.
Kuwa.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Bashamayim.
Bashamayim.
Nathalano.
Nathalano.
Lacham.
Lacham.
Ka.
Ka.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalachano.
Wasalachano.
Kawawafno.
Kawawafno.
Kasalachno.
Kasalachno.
Kawawafino.
Kawawafino.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Tabi'ayno.
Tabi'ayno.
Vanasai 1.
Vanasai 1.
Abal.
Abal.
Kawashayno.
Kawashayno.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Rai.
Rai.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Luka.
Luka.
Hamalakwa.
Malakwa.
Wa'ala.
Wala'ala.
Wathapara.
Wa'atapara.
La'awulamyum.
Wa'awulamyum.
Aman.
Aman. Now we're going to do the Lord's Prayer in English. Our Father.
Our Father.
Which art in heaven.
Which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done
in earth.
In earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not.
And lead us not
into temptation.
Into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
But thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
So be it.
So be it. All right, turn. We're going to face some brothers from one courtesy salute. Men of Israel. Amadu Shabbat. Amadu. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakathum. Judgment time. Asar, turn to face the sisters for one courtesy salute. Men of Israel. Amadu Shabbat. Amadu. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Judgment time. Class dismissed. I'm saying Christ. All right then, Israel. Catch you on the next show.